So in questions 54 through 57, we're looking at a histogram. And a histogram is kind of like a bar graph, but generally the information listed in a histogram is listed in intervals. So these are intervals here, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, 14 to 16. So these intervals, and then the frequency of those intervals is listed as the bars. So it's much like a bar graph, but we call it a histogram because it represents something specific with frequency and intervals. So the first question is asking for, 54 is asking for a range of the mass of fish. So if we think about the range of the mass of the fish, this is mass of fish. So we start at 10 and we go to 18. So there's a couple ways we could list it. We could say the range is 10 to 18 kilograms, or we could just say that it's a range of 8 kilograms. So we go from 10 to 18. That's our range of mass. So we want to ask the range question. We want to say it goes from this to that, from 10 to 18, or the total of 8 kilograms for number 54. In 55, it says, what is the interval used for the mass of fish? So we want to know what the intervals are. In other words, from here to here is how much? From 10 to 12, from 12 to 14, from 14 to 16, 16 to 18. So in this case, we have an interval of 2 kilograms. Each interval represents 2 kilograms. Could have done intervals of 1 or 5, or so we just want to know what these intervals represent. And then we're asked in 56, what is the frequency? So here we're talking about frequency for the 12 to 14 interval. So we're in this interval right here, the 12 to 14 interval, and we want to know what the frequency is. So in other words, we want to find where that bar is. What's that bar at? In this case, the frequency is 7. So it goes up 5, 6, 7. And then the last question, question 57, which interval has the greatest frequency? So we want the tallest bar in this case. We want to know which interval that is. That's the 14 to 16 kilogram interval has the greatest frequency. And so those are histogram questions, so you need to understand what a histogram is and how to read a histogram, and intervals and frequency representations in a histogram.